All right, all my beautiful motherfuckers out there. I got obviously something awesome for you guys, or I wouldn't be here right now. And I've got Christian and Lee with me. And part of the reason I wanted to bring them on is they've got a PR and marketing agency, and they are doing cold outreach in a way that I think is just fucking genius, which is kind of like doing hyper personalization at scale. And it's really a deeper philosophy for those of you guys who've read the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. It's a lot about less but better, and it's about, like, I see people all the time in cold outreach who either are getting no results, or worse is actually they're getting a bunch of shitty low quality appointments booked, and you do this gauntlet of sales calls and question your sanity. And these guys are coming from a school of, like, if you're, rather than trying to get 40 booked appointments to get 4 sales, let's just get direct to those 4 sales. So I wanted to introduce them and show you guys kind of a new way. We put together a little training for you guys, a smarter way to do outreach that's just really more effective, and it's some old school principles. So I'm going to turn it over first to Christian, but guys, obviously welcome and thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Frankie.
Yeah, good to be here.
Excited about it. So yeah, thanks for that introduction. Yeah, basically what we're doing right now is just to kind of give you guys an introduction of kind of what we do. Is we're helping PR and marketing agencies kind of reach their target audience through cold email. So as you all know, you've probably seen a lot of people doing cold email. You probably, as a marketing agency owner, you probably get a lot of these, and a lot of them are pretty bad. I mean, just to be completely honest with you. And that's because a lot of those, a lot of those marketing, or a lot of those, lead generation services, what they're trying to do is just, they're trying to introduce scale, but they're doing it poorly, without personalization, without the right message, and oftentimes it's not even the right audience. I mean, I've gotten cold emails where it's like, did you even look at my website? Do you even know what I do?
Yeah.
And so, for us, the two most, and this is just my opinion, and kind of what I've learned over the years, is the two most important things when it comes to, we try to address when we're working with our clients is, the most important thing really is targeting the right person, the right audience. So you're targeting, right? Because if you get the best, you can have the best offer in the world, and it could be proven, whatever, through other marketing channels that you're doing. But if you're getting that offer in the wrong inbox, then it doesn't matter, because they're not the right person or the right decision maker. It could be you're targeting the right company, but you're targeting the wrong person in the company. So,
Can I just add on that point?
Yeah,
I always tell people, like, it'd be the equivalent if, like, your offer is all you can eat barbecue ribs and you try and sell it at the Jewish vegetarian conference. Like, you're not going to have a whole lot of luck doing that, right?
No, yeah, your sales are going to be pretty flat there. So that's a great point. So thanks for putting that perspective for us. The second most important thing that I think of is really just the messaging. So this is kind of how I like to lay it out. I don't have a beautiful analogy. Maybe you have one, Frankie. You can follow up with one of your awesome analogies. But I like to say that, this person needs to wake up in the morning with a very specific problem, and then our email needs to land in their inbox with a solution to that specific problem. So that's how we know we've won, is when we hit we have the right messaging, which is a solution to the problem that this person is having, to the right person that's actually having that problem. So those are the two things. And really another way we do that through messaging is through hyper personalization. So whether it's like kind of going through and checking their website and commenting on that, because a lot of people don't do that. And it just seems like a generic fluffy email that's just like, okay, this person clearly sent this out to 5,000 people, and they had no mindfulness of me and what I do. And so we have a completely different, angle. We target less people, but they're more personalized and ready to take action.
Yeah, I would actually love to, if you're cool with it, Lee. I know you got some examples queued up, because one of the things I love is when you guys do stuff like this, you get responses of people who say, I never normally respond to this kind of thing, but ... right?
Yeah, absolutely. What I can do, I've actually got a response like that from a campaign we ran recently. So let me just share the screen here. I'll bring that up. Rightio. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll just share one of those responses that I think really highlights what Christian was talking about when it comes to, just like the quality So, you know, this response here was from a campaign we ran. You know, here's the exact what this person has replied back with. Hey, Christian, this is the first sales email I ever wanted to write back to. Sounds like you understand the business of PR. And then she basically goes on to talk about how she's onboarding some new team members and wanted to touch base again in a month.
Yeah.
And I think that really kind of that kind of response highlights what Christian was talking about, because if you're taking a quantity-based philosophy where you just mass spam the fuck out of everyone, like you're never going to get a response like
I call
that.
that digital bukkake, Lee. And I have guys in the group all the time who tell me, I sent 7,000 messages to dentist. I got 2 responses.
Yeah.
What I need to do is send 14,000 so I can get 4. And I'm like, hold the fuck on here. Like, you gotta
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really the big difference about how we do cold outreach. It's like, because we go deeper, more specific and more granular with the targeting and the messaging we're putting in front of them. So it's kind of like less is more. Okay, so we get higher quality prospects as a result that we're actually reaching out to and that we're actually building from that initial list. And then as a result of that, we can make the messaging much more compact and specific to that group of target prospects. So yeah, this particular response is one I wanted to highlight that really, I think, gets across that point, because you're never going to get that kind of response when you're just mass spamming everyone.
Yeah. Or when you do, like what nobody talks about, Lee, is like who raises their hand on that? The most fucking desperate broke.
Yeah.
And so like what you guys are doing is really like, you know, you're writing, like if I'm on the receiving end of your inbox, you're writing to me specifically, not just like blasting 1,000 messages. And one of the beautiful things I think that you guys are doing, but correct me if I'm wrong, like a lot of people don't realize, like you don't have to write like a completely customized, personalized message. It can be like 10-15% of the message can be personalized, and then they just know you're talking to them specifically.
Yeah, exactly. And just to follow on from that, it's it really comes down to being able to do that effectively and do it in a way that's at scale without sacrificing quality. Really starts with getting super detailed and clear on who your target buyer persona is. Yeah. So then you can actually build the list that matches that. And then that way you can put the messaging, and not every single part of the message needs to be personalized, because that's just not scalable. You can't do that. But you can get the core aspects of it that it makes it seem like when they read it, they just think, holy shit, like that sounds exactly like what I'm going through and what I need. And that's kind of what we want to get across and what we really strive for in the way we do cold outreach. And yeah, to be honest, it's way more different than what most people are doing. Most people are just taking mass spamming, 10,000 emails a month, getting 40 leads, having a bunch of crap conversations because they're crap quality prospects. Whereas we're just like, how about you get like a much smaller number of appointments and meetings booked that are actually much more likely to turn into a lead who's qualified to buy and actually is interested in buying.
Yeah. So can I just add on that point real quick? Because somebody like I've actually made my whole agency like pretty much phoneless and meetingless. I wouldn't say I never have phone calls or meetings, but they're very rare. And one of the reasons for that was, when Heidi was first born, I was in Germany at the time, and I was going to German school full time because it's a condition of being able to like get a green card equivalent there. And so I didn't really have a lot of time in the day. I would go to school in the day, and then I would come home and like need to eat, and there would be some basic things to do. And then I had like a calendar full of sales calls, and it was driving me crazy. And nobody tells you this. When you have a bunch of low quality calls, you just for real, you just question your fucking sanity every minute of every day, because you're getting the wrong types of people on the phone, or they got no money, or they weren't really a fit, or they had never even heard of you. And they're like, who are you again? And people think like just more appointments is automatically better than less. And I started to implement like a temperature taking model where it was like, if somebody was only like 3 out of 10 on the idea of working together, I'm like, let's follow up with them with more automated systems. And I only want to talk to somebody who's a 7, 8, 9, or 10 who knows what we do, knows what they're trying to do, and sees like a harmonious match. And it sounds like that's a big part of what you guys are doing as well, is that you're not just jumping on the phone with anybody who's 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10 going, okay, sell me, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me add to that actually. Yeah, because that's an important point. And we actually so for example, we've all seen it, like you get Facebook ads, right? Where people they're the agency owners are like saying, you can have your calendar look like this, and then you see like the full day, like wall to wall, like phone calls, and it's just like, this looks, I mean, like there's no way this like people are actually happy doing this, right? And
That's
so
a
that is the
punishment,
difference. That
not a
really is
reward.
right. You're in sales call jail, and so what we do is we actually qualify. I mean, the people, I can just tell you from experience, because I've been there. I've done those sales calls that suck, and you're doing a lot of qualification. Like these calls that we're getting, because by the way, hello, we actually practice what we preach. This is how we get a lot of our clients, is through cold email outreach, by the way, just FYI. So hopefully that shines light on the fact that it actually does work. And so like taking these calls, like, I mean, these people are like, I mean, it really doesn't take much to sell them. And these are highly qualified buyers, and they're ready to go. And in fact, if we get a response that seems like they're kind of price shopping, window shopping, not really like qualified to buy, we just drop a scheduling link. And our initial scheduling call, now I still do sales calls, but they're completely different sales calls than most people are used to. We start out with like a quick 15-minute qualification call. It's a phone call. It's low barrier, except for the fact that if they're window shopping, we make them click and schedule it through Calendly, and they have to answer like 8 questions. So if someone's like really window shopping, they're not going to go through and like take the time to answer those 8 questions. And so we allow just the form that they have to fill out to sign up for that call to, qualify themselves. So we want them, if they're window shopping, if it feels like they're window shopping, someone to ask like, hey, what's the pricing? Or, hey, tell me about, this, that, whatever. If they don't sound very interested, we just drop that link and make them take that next step. It's kind of like how you make people say hell yes whenever, like, you know what I mean? You have like the hell yes, process. So it's kind of, they have to qualify themselves.
Yeah,
basically.
that's a temperature taking thing, as we just described. I actually have a mentor. He was one of the first people to do sales calls. Like all these people teaching it, he was one of the first 5 or 10 people on the ground selling high ticket stuff by sales calls, booking through Facebook. This was, I don't know, many, many years ago. And one of the things he did is, in the beginning, it was so easy for him to fill his calendar with calls that he couldn't hire a salesperson fast enough. He would like have double and triple bookings. And so he added a third step to his sequence, and it just said, if you want somebody to call you at the soonest possible available opening, fill out this extra page. And he just started calling only those people, the people who were like, I want it now, I don't want to wait. And what he found, his closing ratio went up astronomically. And that's like a temperature taking thing. Somebody who's like you said, window shopping or only mildly curious is going to be like, screw this, I'm not answering 18 questions. Like, I don't have time for that, right?
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to that is like, a lot of people out there watching this video, like because I've been there. Like, I don't want to be like, I have a blind spot to the fact that like, oh, that must be nice that you can turn those people away, because like, hey, I'm over here watching this video and I don't have anybody to talk to, so that's not even my problem. I need, I don't need people to turn away. I need people at all. You know what I mean? And so, that's the benefit of doing something like this, is that it actually, you're kind of prospecting for, what we're doing right now is prospecting for the next month. If you don't have a sales pipeline, like a pipeline of sales, calls that you're doing, it means that 30 days ago, you didn't do any prospecting.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing here is prospecting for the next few weeks. So, we're doubling down. We already have, like I said, we practice what we preach. So we're running campaigns right now for the next few weeks. And so, I'll be doing sales calls for what we're doing right now today.
So I think, Lee, we stole your thunder a little bit.
It's all good.
You want to go back?
Christian encapsulated it perfectly.
Yeah. Well, do you want to show us like a campaign that we did previously? And I think we have some other stuff to share. So let's go ahead and hit that if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'll share my screen again and just walk through a recent campaign completed. Okay. All right. Hopefully the shares properly. So yeah, basically what I'm going to walk through now is just a recent campaign that was finished. So just to kind of give a bit of background to you all, this particular company is an advertising agency based in New York. And basically they wanted to target cannabis and CBD brands. So it was kind of a whole variety of different cannabis CBD brands. So basically what we did, just working with that client, got really clear on exactly who their ideal client profile is, from, you know, kind of firmographics, demographics, psychographics, really just get a clear picture in mind as to who that perfect ideal target buyer persona is for them. We build out a custom list. So again, we never use regurgitated databases as well, which is, I think, important for me to point out. Everything we do is 100% custom and tailored to each company we work with.
Can I just say, Lee, real quick, that I got a lot of people in my world who do cold outreach, and 14% replied is like astronomically fucking high with cold email. I have people who send, messages to get a 0.015% response rate. So for you guys to get that many is fucking remarkable.
Yeah, this was like a small segment for their audience too. So as you can see, it was 431 in total. There was a few that bounced. So I think the total end was, actually, I'll just open up the stats. That'll be easier. Just move the screen there. So yeah, just to sort of break this down a bit more. So yeah, like here in the end, it was 380 that were contacted. So there's a few that bounced, which is, pretty standard with cold email. Not all of them are going to be deliverable. But still, so from 380 that were contacted, it was 14 positive responses, which is, 4% positive response rate. And, this is kind of comes back to what we're talking about, like quality over quantity. You're only going to get that kind of response from such a small audience segment when you take a more quality kind of approach with how you build your list, your targeting, and then the messaging. So just to unpack that a bit more, let's just run quickly through the sort of the bird's eye view of the sequence. So it's basically
actually, can we just have a little pin in this, because this is another thing, and a lot of people don't understand the power of sequences. Like, you think you just send one inbox or one email, which to us as the sender is so important, but to the person receiving it, they might get 50 fucking messages a day, every day. And so the fact that you guys are doing sequences and following up with people, I think is a big part of it, is that you've cherry picked the right people. And because it's a quantity, or like a quality over quantity, you can afford to spend a little bit of time, like, having a sequence in there. And I think that's just a really, really smart way of doing it.
Yeah, the thing too, as well, that a lot of people don't talk about is it's just, even when you take the quality approach, it's even a better experience for the other person, because it's like, you're not like, they can see it's not kind of a mass spammy kind of message. So therefore, your chances of getting a positive response go up. And then another sort of benefit to that is you're less likely to be marked as spam, which then like fucks with your domain and email account reputation, which anyone who's done cold email before knows that, you need to be able to maintain a solid domain and email account reputation as well if you want to kind of maintain deliverability.
Even those 24 negative, I would consider a positive, because the worst part I can tell you for so many people sending cold outreach is not when people tell them no, it's when you don't hear anything, and therefore you have no feedback to know what you're doing wrong. And then it's like it's flying an airplane without having any instrumentation. You're like, you have no feedback to tweak your message or your offer, because you're just getting ghosted. So even that 24 negative, I think, is really useful feedback. Lee, do you mind just switching over to the email sequence where you were?
I'll give you a bit of a bird's eye view of that. So, I mean, for this particular client, we did a 4-step sequence. So this is, as you can see, kind of We've sort of run split tests between different subject lines here, as you can see. Then open rates basically between 50, 60%. And then steps 2, this was sending in the same thread after 2 days. So I don't track open rates with ones in the same thread. So that's why that hasn't come up. And we did step 3 was also in the same thread. And then step 4, this was the final email, which is in a new thread. So they won't get it in the same thread with this one. And we managed to get a few kind of last kind of positive responses, as you can see from the metrics there, from this final step. And this obviously tells you the open rates as well.
And look at that on the sequence, by the way, just for people paying attention. Like that's a 50% open rate on a sequence with cold email.
And you're never going to get that like mass blasting, you know.
I don't get that with my own lifts, and these are people who fucking follow me.
Yeah.
Like, they know who I am, and they still don't open at 50%. So that's pretty remarkable.
That's the benefits of targeted cold email, I guess. And basically what we do as well with all the ops. So like just to show you some of the leads and the opportunities for this particular client's campaign. So we typically use HubSpot. And this is the opportunities from that campaign that I've added into HubSpot. So basically what we'll do once we get the response, we will just add the company's name, the prospect's name, details into the deal, as you can see here, and we'll set the stage. And basically like the clients get access to this as well. And as you can see, like this is the deal stage here. So there's basically 6 calls from this particular batch of positive responses from what was it, 14. So it's almost it's about what 40% appointment setting rate from those 14, which is really good. And then that's pretty much it. That's kind of how we track the leads and opportunities. And
can I also
at this
add,
stage,
a lot of people don't realize this when you do cold outreach, because I do a lot of direct mail, and it's the same kind of thing. Is there's a certain percentage of people that just for whatever reason are just not going to be ready for this today, but that doesn't mean they'll never buy from you. I know like traditional marketing says if they don't buy from you, they're never going to buy from you. They're not interested. But like I saw one of the responses, and the person was just saying, or the one you showed at the beginning was like, I'm hiring a team, I'm neck deep in some stuff. I couldn't even imagine growing right now, but in a month I'll have a staff in place. I would love to hear more about this. Like that's some of your responses are going to be like that. And so it's hard for people to understand that some of the stuff you're doing is setting yourself up 30, 60, 90, even 180 days from now. Because some of those people will come back, especially if you follow up with them intentionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important point you've highlighted, because with this kind of lead gen, this outbound lead gen, you're going to get prospects who are they're at different stages of awareness in the buyer's journey. And it's really important to make sure with those ones that do tell you to follow up with them, or in the future that you are staying on top of that, and because it is going to build that pipeline in the future. And Christian was talking about this earlier. It's like like the prospecting you today sets you up in 30 days from now. Like there's a rule I live and die by when it comes to prospecting. I didn't come up with it, but Jeb Blount did, who wrote Fanatical Prospecting. And it's called the 90-day rule of prospecting. And it's essentially it says like the 90 days of prospecting you do today, it then sets you up for the next 90 days from that point. So if you skip a month of prospecting, you can be sure that your pipeline is going to be up and down as a result. So it's really important in terms of for companies that want to build a sales pipeline through outbound, that they're doing it consistently and every single day. And that's how you have an abundance of really good opportunities that are always in the pipeline, whether it's prospects who want to chat with you now about your solution, or they want to chat with you in 30 days from now, or maybe they just want more info to evaluate. Like we've had prospects as well from campaigns for Zoom agency where people will reply wanting info and we'll send over some info like a slide deck and things like that, and then they reply back saying they want to have a call. So, and that's a really important thing as well. Like, you don't just want to like discount someone just because their instant response isn't, oh, let's just jump on a call and chat. Like, because people from outbound are going to be at different stages of awareness in their journey. And so, yeah, so something that's
and selling is a continuum. It's hard for most people to understand this.
Yeah.
The hardest people actually who understand it are clients who run ads, because they just assume like it just automatically works on day one, or it doesn't. But what you guys find is like, you know, like I look at in my niche in personal injury, the first thing that happens is somebody has to get in a car accident, and then usually they'll go see a doctor, and then they may at some point see a lawyer advertisement, and then they may Google him, and then they may check out his website, and then they may spend a whole day reading reviews, and then they may call 3 of them to see how they sound on the phone, and then they may book a consultation with one, and they may still not be ready to book. They may come in for a second consultation, and like that can happen over like 3 to 6 months. Like the idea that like you just magically push a button and like cash in the bank raining down. I'm not saying like you won't have people that aren't ready today, but more than likely most of the people will be in some continuum of that process.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, in the legal space, like if you're a criminal lawyer, you know, some people might have just committed a crime and they're like, well, I might need a lawyer in a few weeks. Or some people literally have the FBI knocking on their door, you know, so there's different stages, like, you know. How was that analogy?
I don't know experience, my friend.
No, well,
no,
I was just trying to do a nice solid Frankie analogy there. I don't know. Maybe you could rate that from 0 to 1 or 0 to 10 Frankies. I don't know.
Sorry, Lee, we cut you off again.
Just when you were giving a great analogy, it's cut off.
Yeah. Anyways, do we have time to show a campaign that we're working on right now? Do we have time, or we need to wrap up, Frankie? I don't know how far along we are.
We got exactly 18 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lee, show them the campaign we're working on right now, kind of, and talk through like just briefly like how we're doing hyper personalization.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll basically just walk through the entire sequence.
Can I ask you as well, just to share a few thoughts on how you guys are like picking your list? Because I think for a lot of people who are trying to break into cold outreach, it's a big scary thing, thinking they got to send 7,000 messages and worry about emails, servers, and lists. And you guys are thinking much smaller, much more targeted. I'd love to just hear your thoughts on how you're thinking about the right person and then personalizing, how like one leads into the other.
Yeah, I think it really starts with, so I guess like, I mean, obviously I've been in the cold outreach game for a while, and kind of what I see a lot of people doing when it comes to list building is it's kind of funny, some of the conversations I've had with people. Like I'll ask them about their targeting, and it's almost like the extent of thought that it's gone into it is just like, oh, I'll just plug in dentist in D7 lead finder, dentist plus Chicago, and then just like, and I'm like, my kind of thinking behind it is, you actually have to go deeper than that if you actually want to get quality, which, as we've already, explained, has many more benefits compared to taking a quantity based approach. So yeah, you really want to go deep with actually, like, you actually want to write down like who your target buyer persona is. You want to get clear on like the demographics, firmographics, psychographics, like even technographics in some cases, like tech stacks, maybe things like that. So you really want to, you don't want to go surface, you want to go deep really in regards to those kind of areas that I mentioned. And then that will allow you to actually form a target buyer persona, whereby you can then go and actually build a list of prospects and accounts that matches that and is going to be very specific and tailored to what it is you're offering. Okay. And then when it comes to the messaging side of it, once you understand like those areas like demographics, firmographics, psychographics, you can then pack that into your message to make it target buyer personalized. It's going to be personalized to that target group prospects. And there's kind of different layers to this. And I'm not going to unpack every single one of them in this.
No, I can just tell you that, guys, this works. Like, we just did a direct mailing a month ago, and I'm in a position like this is probably the slowest I've ever grown an agency, but I sent exactly 2 letters. They were both like super personalized. One of them bought, right? And I see people send 4,000 messages to produce the same result of one sale that I do to send 2 letters. But like, I'll tell you from a work perspective, 2 letters took me 10 minutes to write and I was done.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, it's just so much
4,000 messages will take you a month.
Yeah. Yeah. Even just from a time and efficiency standpoint, it's just like so much better as well. Yeah. So that's kind of my thinking behind kind of like the targeting and how we build the lists out. What I can do, I'll share my screen again. So we're working on a campaign at the moment, which will be launching very soon. So this is for a PR agency, and basically just to kind of give a bit of background to this. So they want to target distilleries, so in particular like spirits distilleries, whiskeys, rums, gins, vodkas, spirits, basically. So yeah, that's their kind of target buyer persona. So we're actually you've built out the list already, and this is kind of we've got a 4-step sequence. So this is like step 1. We've got multiple versions here.
Can I just go to step A, because I want to give something actionable people can use who are watching this?
Yeah, so
the biggest thing that I see people do on cold outreach is basically a message that says, buy my shit.
Yeah.
If you could summarize the message in one sentence, it would say, buy my shit. And this just says, I noticed your product.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're going to talk about your product or their product, I'll tell you, just as a general rule, you'll have much better success opening the conversation about their product. Yeah.
So let's just stick to version A here, unpack it a bit. So basically in the first paragraph here, what we've done. So this message is going to go out to multiple people, but because of the way we've applied personalization to it, it's still going to feel very specific to that group of people and relevant to them, which is really important. So just to unpack that a little bit, you got this first sentence here where we're talking about, obviously we start with the intro, hi, name, and then we talk about the products that we've seen on their website. So what we'll do, we'll actually have a team member go through the entire spreadsheet of data, actually go on their websites, look at what they're offering. So is it single malt American whiskeys? Is it, I don't know, infused canned vodka products, something like that? And we will make sure that that personalization is added in straight up in that first sentence. Like, that's going to get their attention and they're going to see.
It works. I'll tell you, just as somebody who receives a lot of this stuff, like I get a lot of unsolicited messages on my website. And the messages that start with, hey, Frankie, I read your book, and get read 100% of the time. The messages that start with, dear sir or madam, we are great, blah, 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 get deleted.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, if you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's going to get this email, who's in this specific target market, they're going to feel like it's much more relevant to them compared to kind of that mass spammy, just sending 10,000 emails a month approach, because it's obvious to them, and then so we're coming straight out with that level of personalization in that first paragraph. And then basically the second part to that paragraph is where we then unpack a little bit about kind of what we're actually, why are we reaching out? Because that's kind of, I guess there's the way I kind of structure cold emails in general, just to give people some actionable insights into this. I guess there's you've got questions people are always asking when they get a cold email. Subconsciously, they're even asking it. And it's like, why are you reaching out to me? Why should I give a shit? And you want to answer those two questions in the email. So in the first sentence, we're telling them why we're reaching out. And then we're telling them in this, like kind of the meat and bones of this email, we're telling them why they should give a shit, where we're talking about like tangible, actual results that this company has achieved for other spirits brands. So there's kind of this consistency, because they're going to see in the first paragraph, you're talking about spirits products, whether it's, you know, vodka, single malt whiskeys, depending on who it is that's been contacted. And then they're going to see in the next paragraph, or it's like there's a consistency between that, a spirits brand, and another spirits company they work with. So it's all very consistent.
Basically saying like, I did something for somebody very similar to you and produced this result. Like a case study.
Pretty much. And as you can see, it's a very short and sweet message. And then the last sentence, we're basically just ending with the call to action, you know, asking if they'd like to have a quick chat about it. And this is how you get, like actual good quality leads, is taking this kind of approach with your outbound rather than kind of the mass quantity and spamming approach. So this particular sequence here, this is for a client's campaign we're actually about to launch. This is kind of in the flesh, kind of how we do it, how it works, how we think about it. Also
like that your close is just like a soft, casual, like, I don't think people realize enough, like you're talking to a real human being. So if you wouldn't say that in real life, it doesn't work in an email. Like I get people who say to me, "Dear sir, we are blah, 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 we are the latest, greatest thing. We offer this, kindly book here." But if you met somebody in real life, I would never go, "Hey, Christian, we are blah, 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 blah. We do blah, blah, blah. Book this here." It would be like, "Hey, maybe we should sync up and have a chat." And so it's like, it's much more just casual and human.
Yeah. And that's kind of an overall stylistic thing that we always apply as well, because a good cold email should be kind of conversational in its style and approach as well, not like ultra salesy or hypey kind of garbage, internet marketing kind of garbage you see out there. So you really want to kind of make the actual tone and the dialogue much more conversational sounding. I mean, granted, there are some target markets where you do need to be a bit more formal, but it kind of depends.
That's entirely truly, because I work with lawyers who are the most formal people on the world, and I say the word like motherfucker, and I say things like "what up" to them. So I can tell you from experience, they're bored of the overly formal stuff too.
That's really funny. I think it's that's pretty much kind of the stylistic approach you want to take as well. Though, kind of that friendly tone, conversational, casual kind of, without the sales hypey garbage that you see so much of. So, you know, there's a lot of kind of elements that we pack into it. I guess like all pieces of the puzzle. It's just like taking the pieces of the puzzle and putting them together in the right way so they fit properly. And that's really how we do it and what it's all about.
So can I ask you guys,
is this for free? Like, did we just do it free? Like this, I think we need to do charge $997 for this. I mean, come on. I mean, like, I'm over here like, man, this is like killer. This is killer information.
Yeah, we literally giving away a client's email copy that we're like just about to launch today. So
let's actually get into that, because I know a certain percentage of people are going to love this, going to go and take this away and get some awesome results, and you guys are going to change some lives. But I also know there's a certain percentage of people who count me as one of those people. I'm like, I don't want to fucking do any of that. And I'm like, I agree with that. I see that works, but please, could you guys just do that for me? Let's talk about, we got a little offer for the people who see the value in that, don't want to do that. Let's just talk a little the details. Christian, I'd probably better if you grab this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can talk about it. So essentially, we use this ourselves, and we target, PR and marketing. We work directly with PR and marketing agencies to do this for them. Now, you can take all of what we talked about today and do it yourself, and that's totally fine. And some people may need to start there, but others who actually maybe have, a more an agency that's kind of running on a well-oiled machine, and they have a proven offer that's working, and they just don't have the time or maybe even the infrastructure. Really, that's a lot of times
Or desire to.
we deal with a desire. I mean, there's so many reasons why you wouldn't want to do it yourself. We totally understand it. So that's why we actually have a package where we can do all of this completely for you. We'll go through and we'll take a proven offer that you have, help you craft that a little bit if we think, because sometimes we get people like, oh, we have 5 different offers and we work in 5 different niches. Well, it's really best if you preach this all day long, is like one niche, one offer. That's it. Like that's what you hit people with. And so that's what we can help you do. And then we'll help set up the sending infrastructure. And then in fact, like the follow-up as well is completely done for you. So like once we get positive responses, we work with that response until we get a booked appointment in your CRM or on your calendar. So it's like A to Z, the whole sales pipeline. It's like done for you, lead generation service. And the way you can kind of look at it is like, if you can close one, I mean, everyone has like a $1,500 package, $2,000 package. And some people we work with have $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 packages that they're selling through cold email. And so obviously if you sell one package, like it pays for an entire month campaign. And typically, like this past month, we're seeing several sales with 1 month. So, I mean, it's pretty, you can definitely like, it's worth your investment here. And so like close one deal and it breaks even, or it, even profits in the first month is what we see sometimes. So for your audience today, we're going to do all of that for $1,750. So that's a 1 month campaign. Like I said, we work with you to build that list. We don't do like a huge list. We do a highly targeted list, what we talked about here for the past 40 minutes or so. I don't know how long we've been going for this like incredible training. So we do all of that for you. And it's $1,750 for a month campaign.
Nice. Can I just add that for anyone listening, for this amount of personalization, for this amount of like setting up your core message and your infrastructure and building something scalable and handling replies and follow-ups and doing everything to get them on their calendar, and also temperature taking, so to making sure you're not just jumping on the phone with anybody who's like 2 out of 10 sells me, is like just the amount of time you'll save is alone makes this worth it. Because you guys are my peeps and I love you, I also wanted to throw in something awesome for you guys as well. I had to write this down because I'm old school, work on a notepad. But there's a couple of bonuses that I wanted to give you guys just as a thank you for. Well, Christian's fucking awesome because I see all the stuff he's making happen, and him introducing you to Lee was awesome. But one of the things that we've got a really awesome booking page in our agency, and it's one of my secrets is like, at least when I did sales calls, is like we have a page where after somebody books after the calendar, it like literally pre-sells them for that phone call. And then another issue is I know some of you guys have, occasionally like people don't show up for your phone calls, right? Like there's nothing more disheartening than you get a phone call on your calendar, you go take the call and nobody's there. So we've got also like we use Slide Broadcast to do it, a message where, so it's a personalized message that automatically gets sent out. And I'll tell you, the minute we implemented that, I had a business at the time when I was doing those sales calls that went from 50% show up rate to 95% show up rate, which is that one addition. And also I have the reminders set up, and I'm also I haven't done this yet, but I have to do this for our mastermind members. I'm going to include a bonus sales training because I want you guys to be able to close these calls. And I've got a really solid framework for how to do that ethically. And like to once you understand what you're doing, you'll be able to close sales calls the rest of your life. And I don't have a number on it, but I probably closed a couple $1 million worth of sales calls using this process. So when you have it, it's like it's a life skill that'll pay for itself. And then as well, for those of you guys who have Go High Level, I've also got an onboarding sequence so that after you get these clients and you sign them up, you set them up to win. And also we've got a couple of bonus trainings, which I won't rant on and on, but they're cool and they're goofy like this, and you'll have some laughs while you're watching them.
And I need to mention too, I forgot to mention the satisfaction guarantee, the whole like, hey, we mitigate the risk here. So we actually do have a guarantee. So when we set up a campaign, we say, hey, we agree on certain KPIs, typically like the number of book calls that we think we can get for you. And if we don't hit those KPIs, we work an additional month absolutely free. So that's our guarantee, by the way.
There you go. You're getting appointments. If you're closing even 20%, you'll this will pay for itself 20 times over. Can I just ask, what's the next step? Like, what do they got to do? Where do they got to go? How does somebody claim this?
Yeah, so I think this is going to be dropped in your Facebook group and whatnot. So if you, I'm in all of those. So just if you're interested, take action on this. Just drop a comment below, like I'm in, and then I'll respond on the comment and reach out to you.
Cool. All right, well, guys, we're coming up on the top of the hour. We're going to jump on a mastermind call here. Thank you so much for doing this and share this. I know so many people struggle with cold outreach, and when you get this dialed in, it's a pipeline that works for you all day long, and it's really life changing for a lot of people to have a consistent pipeline. Knowing that there'll be sales next month is like it's a weight off your back when you're in that situation, and knowing you don't have to do it yourself, and that you guys are doing it ethically and all that good stuff. So I love it. Big high five.
Thanks for having us, Frank. Appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Good to meet you.